I never thought I'd be the kind of man who would end up telling strangers on the internet the story of how my marriage fell apart. For most of my life, I believed my love story was simple, maybe even ordinary in the best possible way. I met Anna when I was 24, freshly out of college, still figuring out who I was supposed to become. She was 22, full of life, with that magnetic energy that drew people in without her even trying. She wasn't just beautiful, though she absolutely was. She had this way of listening to you, leaning in slightly, her hazel eyes locking onto yours as if every word mattered. It made you feel seen in a world where everyone was usually too busy to notice anything. We met through mutual friends at a small get-together. I remember sitting on a couch, awkwardly nursing a beer, when she walked in, laughing at something one of her friends had said. Her laughter filled the room. It was impossible not to notice her. By the end of that night, we'd spent hours talking in the kitchen, away from the noise of everyone else. I told her about my boring office job, and she told me about her dreams of becoming a designer. When she smiled at me, I felt something click inside my chest. We started dating not long after that. Those early months were intoxicating. We'd stay up too late, talking about everything from childhood memories to the kind of life we wanted in 10 years. She wanted a small house near the city, maybe 2 kids, a dog. I wanted the same, though if I'm being honest, my dreams only began to take shape because she had painted such a vivid picture of them. 2 years later, I proposed. It wasn't extravagant, I wasn't much of a showman. I took her to the lake where we'd had our first date, packed a small picnic, and when the sun dipped low enough to turn the water golden, I pulled out the ring. She cried, said yes, and kissed me so hard I thought my chest might explode from the joy of it. Our wedding was small, but perfect. Just close friends and family, a rented barn decorated with strings of lights, music, and dancing until midnight. I remember standing at the altar, looking at her walking down the aisle, thinking, this is it. This is my forever. For the first years of our marriage, everything felt exactly like I had hoped. We weren't wealthy, but we were comfortable. We had a little 2-bedroom apartment in the city, filled with mismatched furniture and photographs from our trips together. We fought sometimes, every couple does, but our fights were usually over silly things like whose turn it was to do the dishes. At the end of the night, we always made up. It wasn't until about 7 years in that I noticed something change. At first, it was subtle. She started working late more often. Anna had landed a great job at a marketing firm, and I was proud of her. She was ambitious, dedicated, and I admired that. But the late nights became more frequent. She'd come home tired, distracted, sometimes a little too quick to get defensive when I asked how her day went. Just stressful, you know. Don't worry about it, she'd say, brushing past me to the shower. I told myself it was just work. I didn't want to be the insecure husband questioning every detail of her day. I trusted her. At least, I thought I did. Then came the phone. She started guarding it more closely. Before, she'd leave it on the coffee table or the kitchen counter, unlocked, without a second thought. Now, it was always face down, notifications silenced, tucked into her purse when she wasn't using it. I noticed, of course. I noticed everything. But I swallowed my doubts. I didn't want to be paranoid. I loved her too much to believe she could hurt me that way. Still, small cracks began forming in the walls of my certainty. There were nights when she claimed to be at team dinners, but would come home smelling faintly of cologne that wasn't mine. Once, she mentioned a coworker, Michael, in passing. She said it casually, almost dismissively, but something about the way she avoided my eyes told me there was more behind his name. I told myself not to jump to conclusions. But the heart has a way of knowing the truth before the mind is ready to accept it. The breaking point came one night when she said she had to stay late for a presentation. I believed her, or at least I tried to. Around 9 p.m., I decided to surprise her with her favorite takeout. I drove across town to her office, food still warm in the bag, excitement buzzing in my chest at the thought of seeing her face light up. But when I got there, the building was dark. The parking lot empty. I waited in my car, heart pounding. 30 minutes later, I saw her. She wasn't alone. She was with him. I recognized Michael from the one company party I'd attended. They walked out together, laughing. Then I saw it, the way his hand brushed against hers, the way she leaned into him, and finally, the kiss. My world shattered in that moment. I didn't confront them. I couldn't. Instead, I drove home in silence, my chest tight, my hands gripping the wheel so hard they ached. The takeout sat untouched on the passenger seat. When she came home later that night, I pretended to be asleep. She slipped into bed beside me, her body warm against mine, as if she hadn't just destroyed the life we'd built together. I lay there in the dark, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of betrayal pressing down on me. I wanted to scream, to shake her awake and demand the truth. But instead, I stayed quiet, paralyzed by fear. Fear that if I asked the question, I'd have to face the answer. The next morning, everything felt wrong. Anna hummed softly as she made coffee, scrolling through her phone with a faint smile. I sat at the kitchen table, watching her, my stomach twisting with nausea. I wanted to ask, who were you smiling at last night? Was it him? Do you even realize I saw you? But the words caught in my throat. Instead, I said nothing. I went to work, sat at my desk, and stared at my computer screen without getting anything done. My mind replayed the scene from the night before on a loop, the way she tilted her head when he leaned in, the way she let him kiss her like it was the most natural thing in the world. That evening, when I got home, Anna greeted me with a kiss on the cheek. It felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I forced myself to smile back, pretending I hadn't seen what I saw. For the next few days, I carried the secret like a weight inside me. Every time she looked at me, every time she touched me, I wondered how she could act so normal. Didn't she feel guilty? Didn't she realize I could see through her? Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. One night, after dinner, I set my fork down and looked at her across the table. "Anna," I said, my voice shaking, "are you seeing someone else?" Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. For a moment, her eyes widened, and I thought she might tell me the truth. But then she blinked, set her fork down, and frowned. "What? Of course not. Why would you even ask that?" "Because I saw you," I whispered. "I went to your office the other night. I saw you with Michael." The room went silent. Her face drained of color, and for a moment, she just stared at me, lips parted. Then she laughed, a short, sharp sound that didn't reach her eyes. "You must have misunderstood," she said quickly. "We were just talking. You probably misread the situation." I shook my head. "You kissed him, Anna. I saw it." Her eyes flickered with panic, but she quickly masked it with anger. "Are you spying on me now? Do you not trust me at all?" The audacity of it nearly made me laugh. "Don't trust you? How could I, after seeing what I saw?" But she kept pressing, twisting the narrative, making me feel like I was the one in the wrong. "If you really think I'd cheat on you, then maybe the problem isn't me, it's you," she snapped. That night, we slept on opposite sides of the bed, our backs turned to each other. Over the next few weeks, she insisted nothing had happened, that I was overreacting. I wanted to believe her so badly. I wanted to believe that I'd imagined it, that maybe the shadows of the night had played tricks on me. So I swallowed my doubts again, desperate to hold on to the life we had built. But things didn't go back to normal. She became more distant. Our conversations grew shorter. The warmth that used to fill our home faded, replaced by a coldness I couldn't ignore. One evening, I came home early from work and found her in the bedroom, quickly shoving her phone under the pillow when she heard me walk in. "Who were you talking to?" I asked. "No one," she said too quickly. "Just a friend." I didn't believe her, but I didn't press. Instead, I walked into the bathroom, closed the door, and stared at myself in the mirror. My eyes looked hollow, my face pale. I barely recognized the man staring back at me. That night, after she fell asleep, I quietly reached under her pillow and pulled out her phone. My hands trembled as I entered the passcode. I knew it by heart, though she'd recently changed it once before. When the phone unlocked, my chest tightened. Messages lit up the screen, long conversations with Michael. Flirty texts. Jokes. Late-night confessions. And pictures. Nothing explicit, but intimate enough to make my stomach churn. The proof was right there, undeniable. I sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling, my heart breaking with every message I read. I miss you already. Last night was amazing. I wish I could fall asleep next to you every night. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the phone. I put it back, crawled under the covers, and lay there in silence. She stirred slightly, curling closer to me in her sleep, and I felt sick. The next morning, I couldn't keep it in anymore. I saw the messages, I said quietly over breakfast. She froze. What messages? On your phone. With Michael. For a moment, she looked like she might deny it again. But then her shoulders slumped, and tears welled up in her eyes. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't mean for it to happen. Something inside me broke then. I had wanted the truth, but hearing it out loud hurt more than any denial ever could. I didn't speak for a long time after she said those words. The kitchen was silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator and the distant sound of traffic outside. Anna sat across from me, tears slipping down her cheeks, and I just stared at the table, trying to process everything. How long? I asked finally. My voice didn't even sound like my own. She wiped her eyes, hesitated. A few months. A few months. Not a single mistake. Not a drunken, meaningless kiss. This was something that had been happening behind my back for months. I felt my chest tighten, as if someone had wrapped their hands around my heart and was squeezing. Why? I whispered. Was I not enough? Her lips trembled. It wasn't about that. I love you, I really do. But, things changed. We started drifting apart, and I didn't know how to fix it. He was there, and I. Don't, I cut her off. Don't you dare justify it. She covered her face with her hands and sobbed quietly. I just sat there, numb. My wife, the woman I had built my entire life around, had been sharing herself with another man for months. And now she was crying, as if she was the one who had been betrayed. After that morning, everything between us broke down. We tried to talk, tried to work through it, but every conversation ended in silence or arguments. I couldn't look at her without seeing the messages, without hearing her whispered "I miss you" to someone else. At night, I lay awake while she slept beside me, wondering how many nights she had texted him while lying next to me. How many times she had kissed me with the taste of him still on her lips. I started pulling away without even realizing it. I stopped asking how her day was. I stopped reaching for her hand. The thought of touching her made my skin crawl. But Anna wasn't ready to let go. She begged me to go to couples therapy. She promised to cut Michael out of her life completely. She swore she would do anything to fix what she had broken. I wanted to believe her. I tried to believe her. So I agreed to therapy. The first few sessions were painful. I spilled everything, the anger, the betrayal, the sleepless nights, the self-loathing. She cried and apologized over and over, but her words felt empty. Trust, once broken, is not easily rebuilt. Still, for a brief moment, I thought maybe we could fix it. Maybe the love we once had was strong enough to survive this. And then I found out she was still seeing him. It happened 2 months into therapy. She told me she was going to a late meeting. I didn't believe her. Something in my gut screamed that she was lying again. So I followed her. I felt pathetic doing it, sneaking around like a detective in my own marriage. But I had to know. I had to see it with my own eyes. She didn't go to her office. She went to a hotel. And Michael was already waiting for her. I parked across the street and sat there in the dark, gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. I watched them embrace in the lobby, watched them laugh like they didn't have a care in the world. Like my pain didn't exist. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I drove home, sat on the edge of the bed, and stared at the floor until the sun came up. When she returned the next morning, still smelling faintly of his cologne, I was already packed. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I don't know," I said. "Anywhere but here." "Please," she begged, grabbing my arm. "I made a mistake. It's over now, I swear." I pulled my arm away. "It was over the first time you kissed him. You just didn't realize it." And with that, I walked out of the home we had built together. The next few weeks were a blur. I stayed with a friend, then rented a small apartment. Every morning I woke up feeling like half of me was missing, and every night I fell asleep replaying every memory of us, wondering where it all went wrong. Anna tried to contact me, calls, texts, emails. I ignored most of them, but one night, in a moment of weakness, I answered. She was crying again, begging me to come home. "We can fix this," she said. "We can go back to how things were." How things were? I laughed bitterly. "You burned that life to the ground. There's no going back." There was silence on the other end. Then, softly, she said, "I still love you." "Then why wasn't I enough?" I whispered. She didn't have an answer. Weeks turned into months. The divorce papers came and went. We signed them quietly, without drama. It was almost surreal. After years of love and laughter and shared dreams, it ended with a few signatures on a piece of paper. I thought the pain would fade with time. It didn't. It dulled, maybe, but it never truly disappeared. There are still nights when I wake up reaching for her, forgetting she's gone. Still days when a song or a scent or a memory sends me spiraling back into that heartbreak. And sometimes, I wonder if she ever thinks about me. If she ever regrets throwing everything away for something that didn't last. But then I remind myself, it doesn't matter. Because the man I was with her, the trusting, hopeful, naive man, died the day I saw her in that hotel lobby. What's left is someone older, colder, wiser. Someone who knows that love isn't always enough. Someone who knows that betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it changes you forever. It's been 3 years since the divorce. 3 years since I walked out of the house we once called home. You'd think time would erase the sharpness of the pain, that the memories would fade into something softer, less jagged. But betrayal has a way of branding itself into your soul, leaving scars that never fully heal. I've tried to move on. I've dated other women, gone on blind dates, even attempted a couple of short relationships. But every time, without fail, something triggers me. A laugh that sounds like hers. A glance at a phone during dinner. A late-night work meeting. And suddenly, I'm back in that hotel parking lot, watching the woman I loved most in the world walk into another man's arms. Trust is the hardest thing to rebuild. I didn't realize how fragile it was until it shattered. Now, even when I meet someone kind, someone who genuinely seems interested, there's this voice in the back of my head whispering, "Don't believe it. Don't fall for it. They'll hurt you too." And maybe that's the worst part. Anna didn't just destroy our marriage. She destroyed the version of me that believed in love without fear. Sometimes, when I can't sleep, I find myself scrolling through old photos. There we are, smiling on a beach trip, covered in sand and sunburns. There we are at Christmas, decorating the tree with cheap ornaments we bought from a discount store. There we are on our wedding day, her eyes shining like I was her whole world. And I wonder, was it ever real? Did she mean any of it? Or was it all just a fragile illusion, waiting to crack the moment temptation walked into her life? I ran into her once, about a year after everything ended. I was at the grocery store, and suddenly there she was, standing in the frozen foods aisle, holding a basket. She looked smaller somehow. Tired. Older. We locked eyes, and for a second, it felt like no time had passed. "Hi," she said softly. I nodded. "Hi." There was so much I wanted to say, so many questions I wanted to ask. But the words stuck in my throat. We just stood there, staring at each other, surrounded by shelves of frozen dinners and ice cream. Finally, she whispered, "I'm sorry." And then she turned and walked away. I stood there for a long time after she left, staring at the empty aisle, feeling that old ache twist in my chest. I never saw her again. Sometimes, I think about what my life would be like if I hadn't caught her. If I had just gone on believing her lies. Maybe we'd still be together. Maybe I'd be living a happy lie, blind to the truth. But deep down, I know the truth was always going to come out. Lies rot everything they touch. Secrets fester. And eventually, they destroy everything. Now, when people ask me why I'm single, I just smile and shrug. They don't need to know the whole story. They don't need to know that part of me is still standing in that hotel parking lot, frozen in time, watching the love of my life walk away. I tell myself that one day, I'll love again. One day, I'll meet someone who makes me forget the pain, who teaches me how to trust again. But until then, I carry the weight of her betrayal with me, like a shadow that never leaves. Because the truth is, when someone you love cheats on you, it doesn't just break your heart. It changes who you are. And you can never go back to the person you were before.